It has always been our policy to never trade Vibrainum under any circumstance. Not because of the dangerous potential of Vibrainum, but because of the dangerous potential of you.
Or you want this on tape?
She's in it now.
The argument is that Dixon feels hockey is a child game with no real strategy.
Okay, so I am going to disagree because I think there is value to hockey now. But I do respect where you're coming from on that, just because, like, you know, growing up in fight sports, I appreciate hockey's attempt at adding violence.
Yeah.
But you know what really sucks? Baseball.
He ain't lying.
That's fair. I mean, I'm with.
Okay,
I'm with you.
if
What,
you
said,
can-
said
I'm with you
sports
there.
Sucks. Ken's
If
on board,
you
so.
can eat while play the game, it's not a sport.
Ouch.
Oh, so now we're gonna shit all over bowling?
Who
Asshole.
do you think you
Just-
are?
Look,
Just drop it
okay,
That's right. Who do you think you are? I am.
it's my hottest take. I needed to get the heat
I
off
mean,
Dixon.
see,
for it.
I was there with you when you said it sucked. Because again, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I understand that there's strategy, that people play it. I don't dismiss it as a child's game because I understand the strategy.
Yeah, wait.
Unlike
because
Dixon.
Dixon also said that he respected baseball. Early in the conversation, he said I respect baseball, which is like,
If you can eat while playing the game, I cannot take it seriously as a sport.
so soccer's out then, because technically you're not using your hands. You can eat.
No, because you're not actually eating on the field, right?
But you
how common is it for baseball and, say, for example, like baseball players and like sunflower seed companies to hook up and be like, hey, like, use our product or things like that, and they just spit it right on the grass, and then some poor person has to clean that up later.
I mean, have you ever seen the end of a football game? Yeah.
Sir.
The end
It's
of a
called
football
job
game
creation.
looks just like that. Like, it's pretty disgusting on the sideline after a game.
But they're not actively eating.
While they're playing is
Yes.
on the field of play.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ken is out on this entire podcast. Ken
I know,
is like,
yeah.
nah, I'm
Ken
good.
just got kicked out.
He bailed.
He said
Ken's
sports
getting a drink.
upset him.
He doesn't.
I
He
just
doesn't
feel
respect this podcast.
No,
He's drinking while we're talking.
How
You-
dare you leave my latest episode of Tangential Giants,
Son
the
of a
new
bitch.
show that I'm relaunching in 2023.
You relaunched it.
So,
soft reload, soft reboot.
yeah. So, Kareem, if you could introduce yourself to the audience, please.
You fucking bastard! No! God damn it!
You are not gonna play your reindeer games.
Ah, damn it.
He said, I am out of here.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
Lord.
Ah, look who comes crawling back.
He's contractually obligated. My
I am.
lawyers would come for him.
That's
all
fair.
right.
I signed a stupid contract.
Hey, ain't no law around here. Hey, law dog. No law around here.
Oh,
So Black Panther, huh?
I'm really,
Yeah, I love that segue, Pat. Perfect.
super
Good.
glad that my
So,
comment.
speaking of Creed and that boxing movie, you know what else Ryan Coogler's done? He's also
We
done a
weren't
little
even
movie.
talking about Creed.
I was. We were talking about boxing, and that's I went off in my own little rule over there and was talking about that because it's more tangential to my interest, which is so different comic books and stuff. And so I just wandered off the path.
Fair enough. Creed, boxing, go.
So Creed follows the exploits of a young boxer by the name of
Go
Killmonger.
ahead.
what's up?
Killmonger Creed.
Killmonger Creed.
His name is in the title, kid.
Orlando
you
Castillo
never-
Creed.
Have you never seen Creed?
I have not seen Creed or Creed
Oh,
2,
yeah, man.
the new batch.
This is some
You
bullshit!
gotta watch it, kid.
Look at me. When have I ever expressed my interest in sports? Aside from, I lost Pat. Aside from
Oh,
mocking, aside from the Mighty Ducks and the Replacements, that's like my level. Like Little Giants is my level of
But
sports movies.
What about, okay, let's put it this way. What about Creed would you say is not something you'd be entertained with?
I'm not saying that I'm not entertained with it. It's one that it's on the list of stuff. It gets pushed down in the queue because other things keep coming in.
Because Little Giants.
Because Little Giants.
I was gonna say, how old is
No,
Creed?
the
Six years?
That's a fair question. I don't know. All I know
How
is
does it
Question is,
keep
did
getting
you watch
pushed down?
Rocky?
Oh yeah, have you seen Rocky?
not in the last
Ever.
20 years.
Have you seen
Okay,
any
yeah,
Rocky?
but have you seen Rocky?
Okay, so this is one of the things where it's like
That's not a yes.
it's not a no because it's like my dad would have movies on. You know, your parents will have movies on. You're not like, oh, I'm so invested in this. Like I gotta watch every little minute, but like you'll see it.
But
So
did you watch it?
I saw there's a robot in one of them and he's got turtles, right? Cuff and Link. Like this is, and I know he fights Clubber Lang in one of them, who's played by Mr. T. I know that Apollo Creed dies in the ring to, like, I know the salient details. that
Spoiler
you
alert,
pick up.
asshole!
Yeah, spoiler alert, folks. Welcome to Ken Town. But I
Wow.
know the details out of just the zeitgeist into your headspace as like pop culture. So like I can't say that I've sat
But you
down and
didn't
watched all
answer
of
the
them.
question. Yes or no? Have you watched a Rocky movie?
From start to finish. No, that's the most salient.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Well,
we're gonna send you a DVD of Rocky 5.
you've really let
Don't
me
send him
down.
anything. He's going to put it in the queue, and that means in the trash.
No.
Right.
Like after I watched Rocky 7, Adrian's Revenge.
He's gonna put it in the round file.
There you go.
If you'd watched the Rocky movie, you know that Adrian reference is trash talk, buddy.
This man right
It's
here with
hurt-
his
it's hurtful.
mug, just his ever casual mug, mugging to the camera.
I'm okay. It's right before we're recording this. We're recording my new relaunch of the show right before New Year's, and I'm a little bit under the weather right now. Thankfully, not COVID.
Go on.
But yeah, I'm trying to drink tea, and by tea I mean like it's just hot water, like a bag that I used 3 days ago, and like a ton of whiskey.
The hot toddy, right? Like that's
Yeah, I just don't
You
have
have to
lemon.
have lemon. You have lemon and honey, and
Yeah.
make it a hot dog.
Yeah, it
Oh.
has honey in it. I didn't put lemon in it before.
sorry,
this.
Uncle Iro, my bad.
Okay, you know
Hey,
what?
Thank you, thank you. That's a great ref. You know what? I will take that. That's not my new nickname. Uncle
You got
Iro.
Uncle
You
Iro
heard it.
and you got Uncle Iro and before we started the show, you got Chocolate Thunder from me. So
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty.
You know what?
You're
Patrick,
on the
why don't-
upswing.
Patrick. Why don't you call him Chocolate Thunder?
You're losing people left and right. You're lucky
This
your
show-
contract's
Oh, man,
ironclad.
it got uncomfortable very fast.
All right, so go ahead, Ken.
That's a different
Go back to your
podcast
Creed
I
reference.
host.
Walk your way out of this Creed segue.
Wait, Creed. I mean, Creed
Well-
from the fantastic Ryan Coogler, also who worked with the fantastic Michael B. Jordan. Not to be confused with Michael Jordan, but some might happen in some tune way.
Who is Michael Jordan, Ken?
Michael Jordan is a star of Space Jam.
I fucking I knew you were gonna say
There's
it.
no way.
What-
No way it wasn't gonna
What
be
did you
that.
think was going to
No
happen
way.
there?
And,
Like-
and that is all. We'll get us down the.
Wait,
Michael
okay, hold
Jordan.
on. Who is LeBron
Road.
James?
Michael Jordan is
He's
this.
No, who is
The-
LeBron
the best
James?
Back to
basketball
Michael
player
Jordan.
He's the supporting actor in Trainwreck. Is that the movie?
Exactly.
And
He's
Space-
also-
and Space
Should have went
Jam,
with Space
too.
Jam again.
Too.
No,
I
no,
thought-
no.
I thought you were gonna go back to Space Jam.
Yeah, it's
that's
another-
my expectation.
I'm trying to keep away from the Space Jam scenario here, guys.
No one that-
Well, that's the problem is that we talk about anything except Space Jam.
Well, come on and jam.
All right, so go ahead, finish your segue to Creed.
No.
You got to Ryan Coogler.
No, I got to Ryan Coogler to Michael B. Jordan.
Okay,
Michael B.
we're-
Jordan,
okay.
also known for his role as
Well,
the
You know they were both in the same movie. They both worked in the same movie.
yeah. That's where
Get
the
there.
things are going. Yeah, I was already there.
A segue.
Yeah.
Were you?
He's
Yeah, I was there.
Seven
You-
degrees of
I walked up to the
separation.
door and you just closed it in front of me. I'm like, man,
Because you
I'm
like
trying
you
to-
gate armed it. You gate armed the door handle.
Gate arm? I don't get that reference. I'm sorry.
So
Yeah.
in
You know,
sports, if you don't go all out to catch a ball and you like short arm it, it's called gator arms.
That's
Gators
why
have
you
small
use a
arms.
sports reference with me. That's like that's
This is
Well,
going to be the whole
biggest
show.
sports fan we know.
yeah, exactly.
All right, wrap up this segue.
Anyways, he's from a little known movie by also from Ryan Coogler, Black Panther, playing the fantastic Killmonger. Eric Killmonger, go forward. Come on, and jam.
Well,
Killmonger.
Yeah, Eric Killmonger.
I think okay. So raise your hand if you're a parent here. Okay, so
Cat Dad
did you give special consideration as to what you named your children as opposed to what your last names are? Like it had to flow, right?
I mean, that was consideration. It wasn't a necessity.
Right? It has to flow.
Yeah.
Right. There's a consonance. Like there's like a sound to a first name connecting to a last name. Right. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah.
So Eric Killmonger is not a great name.
Well, isn't
Killmonger the name he gives himself?
Yeah, Eric Stevens is his slave name or his
government name.
I'm sorry. Oh, wait. Detect the lie. Someone quick.
Lord God help that boy.
His government name.
He's
Patrick Patrick. Is it his slave name? Is it his slave name?
Yeah, Pat, answer the question. We're gonna wait for you, Pat.
I can neither confirm nor deny this at this time. I gotta go. Something just came up.
Kobe Killmonger.
I mean, if you were to ask Eric, yes, he would say that is his slave name.
I think that's
yeah. I do appreciate saying slave names and government names. So
yeah. Ken was right.
Yeah.
Kareem, where do you want us to start first? Like this is such a big film.
You know, I opened up the OneNote to try and give us some direction. Okay, so we could do a quick recap of the movie.
Whose show are you on?
I'm not. I'm on your show. I'm just trying to help you produce. You could be the name. You could be the face. Just trying to help produce, buddy.
See, that's the handshake right there. That's the handing it off.
That was
it's beautiful.
So welcome to I gotta welcome to Tangential Giants. This is JPG filling in for Kareem Anderson. And
you sound like the guy.
Does this sound like NPR?
Because I love
94.7 The Wave.
Okay, don't trash the wave.
I love The Wave.
Okay, the wave is
no one.
I grew up with that.
The wave. No one on this is trashing the wave.
Yeah, I love The Wave.
Joining us as always, Patrick. Well, would you mind giving out your name and your social media, maybe even your social security number?
My name is Patrick Kellenberger. You can find me at Patrick_Canelo on most all social media. Also, I'm just going to talk like this and get quieter and quieter the entire podcast, and then I'll whisper my social security number. 721.
We also have
4 5.
We also have the venerable Ken Rollo. Ken Rollo, please give out your socials. Maybe your home address.
This is Ken Rollo coming to you from Tangential Giants. You can find me across the internet at Ken Rollo. That's right, at Ken Rollo on Instagram, Twitter, and Vine.
He is the Dean Gray of this podcast.
Sexy redhead. I'm on board for that. I mean,
basic name, bitch.
Gotcha.
Getting railed by a Canadian and
Look,
personality American.
If they were just a throuple, it would solve so many things.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, that's what they are now.
I'm just saying. Okay, we should have thought of this years ago.
Say it though. You can't.
Yeah, that's fair.
Say it. You just have to make sure all the betters are connected.
Heavily imply it.
The original creator of the show, Kareem Anderson. Give us over your socials. Maybe one of those 1,000 megawatt smiles.
Yeah, here we go. I'm at Mindhead1 on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere else. I am a fan of this podcast. I love producing it. So you could find me pretty much on every pod.
And our wonderful guest tonight. How are we introducing you tonight?
You can introduce me as Dixon. I like to
Perfect.
go by Dixon, but my name is Ken Dixon. I also go by Optimus Dixon from Xbox. I also go by Hand of Fate as my gaming tag. My gamer tag from Tabletop Gaming, which is Marvel Snap, and the outrageously awesome Hero Clicks, where my claim to fame is I top 8'd top 8, I guess. Made top 8 at a convention. And I also was the only person at the time, I'm not sure now, that also won fellowship in that same tournament. So that's my claim to fame at the moment. Besides newspaper articles and things like that.
And and you know, all the lap dances you give out at conventions and stuff, right?
Well, yeah,
That's true.
But those were free at a time, so I don't know if anybody cares about that.
Just cheap.
Booty Sweat Dixon showing up again.
Sweat. Pop that ass open.
Pop that ass open.
Bars available at
And I'm
concession
JPG.
now.
You can follow me at Speaker JPG. That has my link tree. I am a pop culture educator and consultant, and I am a tabletop RPG actor and voice and producer as well too. Okay,
Very
now
accomplished.
Now I'm done.
Could you also say aficionado?
Aficionado. Like,
It's just fun to say. Just go with it.
It is a good word. Aficionado is a good word. You know what else is a good word? Gallivanting. Gallivanting is a
Ooh.
good word.
Yeah,
Gallivanting
that.
strong.
Yeah.
Traipsing is also a good word. I like
Traipsing.
Ooh,
These are good
traipsing.
words. These are good
Yeah.
words. So-
Maybe we should traipse into the topic for today, gentlemen.
Way to
That
pounce
topic
on
being
a moment.
Black
Should we
Panther
meander over
2.
to this topic.
Oh, I love a good meander. Let's saunter our way over there.
All right. So, like I
Sachet.
said, we.
I don't have the hips for that.
You're just
Why
gonna
do
vogue
you-
up now.
Why do you invite me onto this? I don't understand.
I know it's painful
It's yeah.
to say the least.
It's painful
Kareem.
jocularity.
Because
No, I mean, I have a-
obviously
That too. I think we have great pods when you're on, so I
think
wanted
if
you to be
you-
on for this one.
I think if you hated
Hey.
Filipinos because of me, I'd be like, yeah, fair. Like, if
I had a bad experience.
I had a bad experience. Damn it.
The new
No, okay.
Filipino
So
dating site.
let's get into. God damn it. Let's get into the movie recap, and then we can go from there. Okay. So, I mean, who's the last person in this pod to have seen it? Because we will reference their memory, probably. I mean, Ken is pedantic, so he probably already has it stored. But I think Pat, you're the last person to have seen it, right?
Yeah, probably. I saw it in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will let you start off with the recap, and
Oh,
we will
God.
jump in.
Yeah, because I'm
Yes.
great at those. All right.
Well, I mean, you can keep it short. Plus, you're
All right.
drinking. This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah. Black Panther 2. So movie opens with I don't even know how to describe it. Basically with Shuri, who is the sister of T'Challa, trying in a lab, trying to find a cure for her brother who is passing away from some unnamed disease. It'll be revealed later what she was actually trying to do in the lab, but as she is trying to come up with some sort of cure way to help him, she's being told to go spend time with him before he passes, and he passes away before she can do anything. She was about to try one more cure to see if it would work on him. He passes away before then, and then we move to the funeral for T'Challa. Yes, go ahead.
I think it should be noted, like, what she's trying to do, her solution is to try and recreate the heart-shaped herb that was
Yeah, we were
destroyed.
going to get to that later.
Yeah.
When they
That's-
reveal
that's-
that in the movie.
That's what
That's-
Pat was saying. Like, it's later revealed because he's technically right. They don't show you what she's trying to do.
No, it says
as
the
she's trying to-
heart-shaped herb. I'm fairly.
No,
I
it just keeps saying whatever she's doing is failing.
okay.
Do they say the heart shape? I
'cause
figured it out later on.
She tries to reprint. She's like, go ahead and start
Uh,
printing it. I'm sorry, Dixon.
I think whatever the computer's name is, the
Yeah.
AI said something to the effect of she was only at 26% of
Mhm.
her solution. And so I don't
Right.
think they said the heart-shaped herb.
26% of the
think it
time it
said-
works every time.
It's Griel, right? Is it Griel or
Griot.
Griel? Yeah, played by
it's Griot, but it's pronounced Griot.
played by Trevor Noah from The Daily Show, or formerly The
Yes.
Daily Show, as of this recording.
Yeah.
Is he
Yeah,
left
keep
already?
going,
I didn't
Pat.
even know that. Dang.
He
I
just
think-
left. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Look,
a week and a
man,
half, 2 weeks ago.
If Dua Lipa told me to do anything, I would just listen to her. Okay,
It's a fair point.
Yeah,
that's
It's a fair point.
sounds about right.
Yeah. He's gonna go full
Plus-
coming to America. Hop on one leg. Uh-huh.
Bark like a
No,
dog.
a big dog. A big dog.
Woof, woof, woof.
Woof.
Keep going, Pat.
I can't anymore. All right. We
No, with the barking.
Yeah.
woof, woof. We go from T'Challa's death to a pretty striking funeral with a lot of intense music and dancing. It's really well shot and well done, and you're kind of seeing it through Shuri's perspective, and she is kind of hit a wall when it comes. She doesn't know what to do with herself anymore. It's pretty clear. Like the grief has overtaken her, and she just kind of has fallen to pieces. It goes from that to they're basically walking T'Challa's body through the city, and it ends where his body in the casket is going to be picked up by the ship, and I'm not sure what the burial rite is, but that's going to occur. And if memory serves, I think Shuri kind of stops them from taking it up for a second. She finally breaks down a bit. Her mother pulls her back, and then I want to say we move 6 months ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's is it 6 months or 1 year?
It's 1 year. Maybe it's a year.
I believe it's a
Is
year.
it a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So at this point, we're a year later, and I'm bad with names, and I did not look up beforehand. But Shuri's mother is basically now ruling
Ramonda?
Wakanda.
Queen
Ramonda.
Ramonda.
Queen Ramonda.
Ramonda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is running Wakanda at this point. And Shuri has kind of just cordoned herself off in her lab and her work. I believe this is the point where Queen Ramonda goes to the UN and basically tells them to stop trying to mess with Wakanda and Wakanda's vibranium supply. And we'll simultaneously seeing people break in to a Wakandan lab to steal vibranium, but it is a trap. And those people are captured. I believe they were French. Pretty sure they were French.
That was the French.
Yeah, great pate, not good at the military stuff. So do what you can do.
Careful,
And
I'm 5% French.
Those
Okay.
5% angry.
those cheese eating surrender monkeys.
Congratulations. What a cookie.
Also,
How about
also the
hybrid
French
too?
in
Thank
the
you.
French in this particular scenario are bad.
Yeah,
clean
they're
that.
literally
I know.
trying to break in and steal. Yeah, that's
Unfortunately,
congratulations on being
conflicted.
French want me to
5% evil.
run. Yeah. Well, I'm more than that, but we'll talk about that later.
That's fair. Queen Ramonda
Yeah.
has them brought in, has the French strike team brought in front of the UN, and basically hands them over and as a warning, like, don't try this again or it won't be so nice next time. All right. Anybody want to jump in?
Yeah, I wasn't when the first time watching it, I didn't realize that they were the French because I just kind of always associate that type of colonial mindset with Americans. But it's also like the French have a fair amount of like burden to bear with that, but they don't get acknowledged for it a lot. Like if you look at a lot of Southeast Asian colonization, the French are right there. So
Vietnam
know
acknowledges it. Don't you worry. Vietnam acknowledges it.
yeah, but I think that overall we lose sight of that sometimes by comparison to our own sins as Americans. And so that was kind of
we'll get to what the Americans are doing in about 5 minutes. They are just as bad, if not worse.
I just was saying, like, the first time I saw that, I anticipated it being them with Toby Ziegler and him could be the one, but it ends up being her of course, she's beating Queen Ramonda's being badgered by the French delegate, I guess, or heckle. I don't know.
It basically boils down to, give us vibranium. We want vibranium.
Can I get that one more time, but more French?
Oh, give us vibranium. Oh.
There you go.
See,
Perfect.
and the worst,
Dixon, are you okay with that?
maybe
Is that all right?
he 5%
Sorry.
laughed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We got a French delegate here.
Yeah.
Maybe it was my own perception of it, but that scene was less about give me the vibranium as much as it was we're afraid of what you might do with it. That seems to be at least what she was saying was like, if we had it, we would go to like we know how dangerous we would be with it. We can't allow you to have it by yourselves as well.
So
we're afraid of
was
to steal
the
it.
solution.
Give me the
Yes,
That was the solution.
basically, yeah.
I do, like one of the big themes that comes out of, it really drives home. Is well, we've talked about two scenes that really encompass a theme for the whole film itself, right? Like it is the idea of how far should our culture evolve, because once we find out, just had how Ken had mentioned, like once we find out about the heart-shaped herb and then building it synthetically through science, on top of building new weapons that are looked down upon in the scene when when those like special forces guys come in. But it's very much this, yes, we need to progress, but you're progressing too fast. Like respect the old ways. This is what, and it's heavily implied that this is what T'Challa would have done, right? Yes, he wanted to be progressive, but he still would have kept that tradition, as opposed to Shuri is trying to just launch us into the future at this point.
Yeah, it very much comes across throughout the entire film that Shuri wants nothing to do with tradition and is just purely of a scientific mind, and that is everything she does. Anytime she butts up against Wakandan traditions, she chafes under them. Everything comes back to get me in the lab.
I also wonder if like her views on tradition are a bit skewed because it hasn't really worked out for her. And as we progress through the breakdown of this movie, you see by following old ways, she keeps losing everything. Or she can blame losses on these traditions, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not following science.
Well, I think there's something to that. I also think she's the new MCU futurist as well. Like she's in that kind of role at this point. So everything she's doing is improvement and advancement. And we all know how well that goes after watching Iron Man. So
saves the world. How dare you?
After he puts it in danger.
Hey, you can't save it if it isn't in danger, right, Pat? Come on.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point.
What are you, pharmaceutical company suddenly?
Who wants to pick up where Pat left off?
I mean, do we want to touch base where we to speak to the mourning that's kind of felt as, I mean, that's the basis of the whole film to a certain degree too, is like just dealing with the mourning and loss of T'Challa, and also still feeling how that's affected the blip and how that affected the world we are now living in.
Well, we'll get into that as we like kind of question a lot of, I had some questions for that kind of stuff. No, I'm just saying, I feel like we should get through the recap and then we can go back and be like, hey, these are the things.
Come on, Ken, come back. Come back, buddy.
Okay, so moving us forward in the recap, I think what comes next is Queen Ramonda trying to get Shuri through the stages of grief by having her
I think the Namor scene's next first, isn't it?
No, I think
which one?
Before
Namor's encounter with the US and Lake Bell and that whole ship stuff is first. It's like a cut to
Poison Ivy.
Yes. So basically we cut to somewhere in the Atlantic, I believe.
General Atlantic land.
Yes, and we have a ship out there, and I believe they have a scientist and some other person flying in to kind of oversee this underwater project. They get upon the boat, kind of start directing everybody. They're underwater, and we don't know how far, pretty far deep. They have a machine that they're looking for that they, I guess, can dig up vibranium out of the ground under.
How dare you?
Under the water.
Unobtainium.
My apologies.
It was mainly the purpose was to locate it because they
were digging for it.
Well,
they had to locate it. The machine. Sorry, go ahead.
No, the crux of it is the machine is able to detect it, and up until this point, unless you were Wakandan, there was no process to find vibranium.
Correct.
And that's the digging it up is definitely key, like because they're trying to gain it.
Yes.
But that's going to tie into who made this machine, and who's able to detect it was our future. So sorry, I want to clarify.
Yes. No, very, very good. Thank you. So then we start seeing, I guess, in the distance, there's a couple of heads that pop out of the water. There's this cool like siren singing voice thing that kind of entrances people. Go ahead.
I just want to pause here because one of the most striking things in this film to me was the music. Like that music was amazing. And this is kind of the first scene where you notice it obviously in the funeral scene. It's very intense, but this is the first one where the way they do this siren scene and kind of the siren song, because what's happening is basically people are appearing from the ocean and they start singing and people start jumping overboard.
Mm-hmm.
And just that deaths, entire,
presumably.
Or you know, just a really cold bath, whatever.
I think they die.
I don't know. I didn't see him die on screen. What do I know?
Fair enough.
I could have been with you on that too, and until what we see what happens with the helicopter as it tries to escape. Because like, okay, so they're just like, hey,
they don't
get
let
out
people
of here.
Survive.
Like, no, there was no witnesses.
No, they're all dead.
Like, they made that very clear.
Yeah, to Ken's point, as I believe it's Lake Bell and one other person that's in the room with her put on earplugs to kind of block that out. We see them trying to leave on a plane to kind of report back what's happening, that they're being under attack.
Weird they had earplugs.
Yeah, no, that would be.
They had earplugs.
No, that would be in a basic
standard.
Kit. Yeah.
Nobody else.
Why?
No one else had them. Because remember, they all didn't hear the siren song at the same time.
They had them, but they didn't know to grab them.
Okay.
So anytime you have you're in an area where
a basic kit of what though?
I mean, let the Marine tell you.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Well,
it's like I'm sandwiched in between the people who would actually know about this stuff.
Right.
I only do it on a civilian basis, and a lot of the stuff I own is illegal. So
I didn't hear any of that.
Tangential Giants does not support.
Fully support that. Go ahead.
Sorry.
With an artillery unit, we had ear protection all the time,
which makes sense.
That was part of the general gear. I'm assuming
but she's not artillery
deployed. Though. Right. I'll finish that thought. I'm assuming since they're doing live fire situations that they're going to have some type of gear there, but it could just be a plot device so that they're not easily taken over and that scene ending very quickly.
Fair enough. So they're up in the helicopter trying to leave. A figure comes and grabs the helicopter by the tail, flings it in the ocean, and we go straight back to Wakanda.
It's also interesting because she says that it's not like over her comms when she's trying to get word out. She says it's not the Wakandans. She's like, no, this is not the same. It's not who we thought it was.
It makes it clear.
She tries to make it clear, but I don't know if we ever know if that transmission got through. Like out of the whole movie, we don't kind of get any clarity on that.
Assume it got through. I think we can assume it got through, and they just ignored it.
Well,
but as we get further on, when we do know that there is a player who's going to be introduced later on, and they are still in mass. The government is acting as if that was likely Wakanda who took out that ship. Not widespread information to everyone, but we do have at least one higher up who's pulling some punches because she knows that there's other stuff on the way. Like she has her own intel, but as far as like the mass intel, they're kind of blaming the Wakandans. If I'm misremembering.
I think you're right. I think the issue is that everything is black ops essentially for both Wakanda, for what is the group called from Namor's tribe or clan or people?
Telotan or Telecon?
Telecon or something.
Telecon is the name of the city.
Telecon.
Yeah. Unless I don't think they have
what are the people called?
Just
what?
Fish people.
That's not.
Whatever they are.
They are.
No.
And then
they're technically Atlanteans.
They are the Taliban.
Nope.
Atlantean.
They are not Atlanteans.
They're not Atlanteans.
Well,
not in the MCU.
They're technically Atlanteans, but they're not called
Namor.
Atlanteans in this. So I think they're Teloconians.
No, they're
whatever they are.
Inhabitants of Telecon.
Yeah. Right, but
whatever they are. Yeah.
They are the Talokan. That is the term for their people. But the Talocanians is my point. They're like, they don't need to. Vancouverians, no, like they're just the Talokan.
Well, and the
like
U.S.
Lego.
I mean, because what the U.S. was doing was technically illegal anyway.
I like Doctor Who.
So, I mean, what I'm saying is that I don't think there was any mass reporting on this. It wasn't like a news outlet saying like, oh, this ship of Americans was under attack, like because what they were doing was technically black ops. Like they're not going to release that information. So even if the comm got out that it was the Wakandans, they weren't going to tell the world what they were doing in order to be attacked by the Wakandans. So everybody hasn't said anything about it.
Wakandan, like Canadian from Canada.
It's still here.
All right, so now we're back to a very moving scene between mother and daughter. Is about getting over grief. And they're kind of out on, it looks like a beachfront, and they're talking about the mom, or I guess Shiri, kind of asks, what does she believe in? What does the mom believe in? How does she get over it? And the mom gives her this heartfelt speech, and even at the end of it, she was like, "Yeah, I still don't believe that. So I'm not gonna get over it the same way as you are, if ever." Yeah. And they're interrupted by the first appearance of Namor.
Namor.
Yes.
Namor.
It's cool as shit.
And he comes up with a threat, basically.
Well, or an offer and a threat.
That's a threat. It was really
It's
just
a polite threat. Polite.
You
threat?
do this, or something bad happens.
But if
It'd
you
be a shame
do
if
it,
you lost this
good
speech of
things
yours.
happen.
It is an interesting dialogue because he starts out with kind of a respectful amazement, and he's like, this, this city is amazing. The water is so clean, the air is pristine. And then like as the conversation shifts, because she's like, I'm not accepting your off-putting nature.
Ultimatum.
Like I'm well, because even when he's just talking, he's like, no, I'm not in habit of repeating myself. And she's like, I'm not giving you any leeway here. Answer the damn question. And then he's like, oh, I'm a kokukan, and he goes into his whole thing. And then it's an interesting shift where he tries to, I don't know, he tries to position it as if he's not as dangerous as he could be, I guess. And then he shifts it very quickly. It's like, all right, fine, let's play this hand.
And I think it's important. Like, they obviously have changed the backstory of Namor, the way this movie is laid out, which we'll touch on. But it still felt like Namor to me. Still felt like him, just because it was that like, I'll be friendly. Oh, you want to be friendly? Oh, you go fuck yourself. All right, we'll do it that way then.
Well, see, and that's what I wonder if we all perceived it as a threat when he's just laying out a fact. Like, he's saying like how strong he is.
And I think that's how he would. Yeah, this is just a fact.
That's a threat. If I have to tell you how strong I am after negotiating with you, that's a threat. If I have to tell you I have more soldiers than blades of grass, then that means I have numerical superiority in my means of not insulting, and you know the word I'm talking about, Ken, when I want to impress you but intimidate you.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can argue that this was more vinegar than it was honey, right?
No, that's so what I'm saying is, I want to know if we're perceiving it, even though he's again stating a fact. Like, he didn't say I'm going to kill you. He's just saying we outnumber you. I
think I think there are varying levels to threats, right?
Agreed.
And I think and with that in mind, right? I think especially when you are in these high pressure situations, seen as somebody who is higher class or a noble or something like that, right? Like there is a very thin line between diplomacy and threats.
Yeah.
And I think if you don't say it perfect, there's that pressure to say what you mean, right? In that scene, we get the failure of royalty from both sides, because there's a failure to listen and there's a failure to understand. There's even a failure to outright just do basic human things like introduce yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think when you're at that level, diplomacy and threats, it's two sides of the same coin. You can flip it to whatever.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think we have to remember
politics by different means.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to remember also for Namor, as we find out, he is viewed as a god. He has been the god of his people. So there's not a lot of him used to hearing anything but yes.
Gods don't mince words.
Yeah, like I don't, as you said, it may come across as a threat, but it is a fact. I am this powerful. I can do whatever I want. And basically what he does is he brings the machine that was tracking the vibranium and tells Shuri and Queen Ramunda, you have like a week or some set amount of time to bring me the person that made this machine, and we will take care of them. And then you and I can live in peace. And if they ever come for us or they come for you, we'll be right there and support you. Because
I don't know if he said. I don't know if he added this. I don't know if he added the support line.
I don't remember the support part. Yeah,
no, he basically said,
just like, you know what, you're there.
He says
you're there to protect us by way of mutual destruction. Like,
right?
He's like, I'll just destroy you with everyone else. And at least that's the vibe I got from him.
Well, I think he basically said, if they come for us, we're blaming you.
Yeah. And it came across very much like we can be an ally or we can be an enemy. And if you don't do this, we will consider you an enemy.
Agreed.
Yeah, agreed.
The velvet glove over the iron fist.
Which then gets us to some pretty interesting. I mean, I enjoyed this banter back between Okoye and Shuri, the back and forth, because they go on their little side mission to go pick up
the creator.
First
Riri Williams.
Before we go there, though, Riri.
Ramunda talked to Okoye first because Okoye wanted to take the princess with her, and she told her don't. And
we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
No, we're not. We still have to have Shuri reach out to Everett Ross to see, like, hey, where could I'm sorry, I'm being pedantic, but that's my role.
I know, but no, it's not that. It's just anytime Everett Ross is going to get mentioned, I'm just going to go.
Do we not like Everett Ross?
I like Everett Ross.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Everett Ross.
The fact of the matter is I got a token white in this film, right? Like, that's their pet. He is very loyal.
I'm loyal to a fault.
And you can't hate on the allies.
And especially ones that actually are doing their best. And so to that fact, though, she reaches out to him, and he, as best he can, as much as he doesn't want to violate his own rule, like his own obligations, he also gives them enough information to be like, hey, this is who, you might have to look over here for this person. This is where to go. And so that also laid seeds, because we're going to have him and another player come in and play their role within the story too. So I just
you said Shuri reached out. Wasn't it Okoye that caught him on his run?
I think that I thought it was
Shuri and Okoye.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Both of them.
Both.
Yeah. And then yeah. And then as part of the mission to decide to go to find Riri, then Okoye is like, hey, I'm gonna go here. And she's like, no, don't take my daughter because my life sucks. Everything else is dead. Don't do that. I need that. I need my life. Don't do this.
Well, she doesn't want to lose. She doesn't lose her last child, basically.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Well, and she said, well, I mean, Okoye is doing what I think was understandable is that you guys need to start living, and this is a small step in getting out of Wakanda and doing something other than hiding in the lab and wallowing.
Yeah.
You could have went on vacation to Haiti instead, but going into the lion's den may not have been the best thing.
Well, I mean,
it's awesome.
You're picking up a student. Like, didn't seem like it was going to be that dangerous.
Lion's Den of Chicago.
But also, I do want to.
You're picking up a student whose life has been threatened by a mystery person who got into your hidden kingdom without your knowledge. At that point, there's an X factor going on.
But the X factor said, I'm going to let you I want you to do this. I'm not going to get in your way.
Yes, but if you notice later on in the movie, they did get in their way because Atuma and Namora attacked them instead of saying, "Oh, you got them? We're on the same team. We'll take them from you. We'll gladly accept you giving them to us." Nope, they attacked them straight on.
Well, because they were defending her. Remember, the goal was to kill her.
Right, but no. Before they had a chance to defend her, they attacked. They shot the car.
The U.S. whatever agency was tracking her started attacking.
Yeah,
right. They're chasing them, but up on the water bomb that hit them, hit their car. That's what flipped
everybody.
Car on. Yeah. Yes. Yes,
But also
they
we
attack.
are jumping ahead though,
Okay.
because there
Go ahead, Ken.
one thing before going too far, because I want to get there, is that
Mhm.
even saying, like, you said bristling, she knows that Shuri's wallowing. She has lost her, I mean, in the span of 6 years, she's lost her father and her brother, both close relatives, and her king. Like, these are world shattering things that happened, and I forget if Shuri was snapped by the blip. It's one of those
I
things. It's
believe she was snapped. Yes.
I believe it was too. So,
So
there's
it's
also
not,
that.
it's not even 5 years for her. It's like, for her,
Exactly.
it's 2, 3.
Yeah. And so, like, to say that she's wallowing, I feel it's a rough thing because mourning the loss of all these people in her life is a lot to take on. It's a lot to take on for an adult. It's a lot to take on for a child. And I say child in that she's, under 20. And I think all of
Young
us now,
adult.
all of us call anyone who's under 20 a child, as we're all, geriatric millennials or Gen Xers. So that there's that kind of mindset of, like, that's a lot to deal with. So it's like, I don't want to say she's wallowing. She's definitely, like, not processing the best, and she probably needs to talk to somebody. But I just think that in the discussion of mourning that we're having here about how the character's feeling, to say wallowing I bristle against it is the best way to put it. But
Well, she's stuck in the one. I can't remember if it's Piaget or Yoon, but she's stuck in one of the 5 stages of grief. And after denial is anger, and she's stuck in anger.
I mean, it's a good fit.
She's stuck in
that's-
silence.
Then I
She's a Red
will
Lantern.
recheck that. I apologize for my word
No,
choice.
it's just something I
I-
want to discuss. It's because
Yeah.
it's
No,
worth-
you're
it's worth-
absolutely right. If we're going to be talking about grief, we should be cognizant of how we describe it. So I felt like Okoye was trying in her own way to get the process of I wouldn't say healing, but at least acceptance and kind of moving
Moving through the
forward with your
stages, yeah.
life started.
Okoye
Yeah.
was looking
So-
out for a friend. She basically said, like, you need to get out. You're just sitting, you're withdrawn from everyone. You literally don't answer anyone's calls. Like, you need to get out. And
Mhm.
Oh no, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to mention too. I also think we have a scene there too with the Queen and the rest of the Council of Wakanda. So we have the Jabari there as well. I think that's kind of where we are in the discussion. Like, with the as they discuss, like, wait, someone made it through our borders, and that, like, also we have
Yes, correct.
M'Baku return, and we have him
With his
kind of, like,
carrot.
with his carrot, because he's they're vegetarian.
I love that.
So it's like, that's
Yeah,
another too. It's like, there are people, there is a family, there's a network of people there trying to help Shuri and others deal with those transitions and deal with their emotions as best as possible. And she's kind of bulking at it.
I'm gonna pause you there when you say family, because that is not like M'Baku may care, but that is a political entity that you are viewing there. And part of this is showing
council,
strength. Yeah, the council is basically looking at Queen Ramonda going, like, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? I don't think we should sub that in as like, oh, I'm sure they do care about Shuri, but that is a political entity, and they are looking to, like, what are you going to do to fix this so we can trust you as a leader? That's a very different conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it's also a conversation. Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, no, go for it, please.
I was just gonna say that I think there's a conversation that's undercurrent there about the reliance on the Black Panther as far as security is concerned. While they have, top-notch security and stuff like that, what do you do when somebody, something gets beyond that, and you have to worry about, the fail-safes? Like, you could rely on T'Challa to be like, all right, well, I'm personally going to put on the suit and I'm going to go take care of this guy. When you don't have that as your fail-safe, if you've gotten across the invisible shields and under the water and things like that, what do you turn to? Like, who's going to stop this guy? And I think they were quietly asking that too.
I think, especially, like, this is just a credit to Winston Duke in general, as the character. Is every time he was on screen, I felt as if M'Baku was fighting, giving a hug to the people that he was trying to take care of. Right. Yeah. I think the entire time there was this caring and wisdom that was so just, like, perfectly balanced on, like, a pin needle, and the whole time it was just, you could see the conversation going from, well, I'm a diplomatic entity and I have to tell you this, to, I understand where you're coming from, and I would have made the same choice. Right.
Mhm.
And he, like, the balance that he plays it with is something that we just don't, I just don't think we like, you know, like critics are looking hard enough in Marvel films for these types of moments.
Yeah, I mean, this is something he showed in the last movie as well. I mean, after having rescued T'Challa and kind of showing that, like, you know, he's not just some guy to kind of, I guess, burst his way into power. He's like, hey, I want to do this for a reason, like, and these are my reasons, and this is what we're trying to do. And then, you know, as the movie progresses in the first one, you realize that he's an ally. It was never, you know, kind of a takeover situation. And in this one, he's remains an ally, but with, you know, some wisdom behind that he gets to talk more about.
I would even argue calling it like a softness, right? There is a certain softness that comes from M'Baku that makes him so compelling. And this is one of the issues that I had with the film itself. And it's not an issue, it's a nitpick about narrative, because this is what I hoped was going to happen. And as a nerd, just take this with a grain of salt, right? I don't think it should have been just Shuri that was the Black Panther.
I agree.
I think that if there would have been, like, okay, a Black Panther for military strategy, a Black Panther for diplomatic strategies, a Black Panther for like quieter ops, a black and having the ability to, instead of it just being one person, having it be a council of Black Panthers, because we've already seen you can have multiple suits. We've already seen, you know, like this, there's this move, there's this like natural ebb and flow back and forth in their culture about, hey, like this next person could just be the Black Panther. To have a council of Black Panthers, I think would have served better with the narrative that they were chasing. But if somebody calls me dumb for that opinion, I also understand them calling me that. Yeah.
I would defend you on that.
I don't think it's dumb, but I think for where I personally think this is gonna go, they could not do that. Because I think I think this is set up where time travel is about to punch us in the face, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's
again.
Yeah, Quantum Mania.
Okay, you know what? Don't put Kareem on his soapbox about Ant-Man anymore, okay?
He was the one. He's the one that connects the whole universe. I knew it.